Derek Carr, the Las Vegas Raiders quarterback, had a contract that was team-friendly, that they could move on from. The Raiders had a miserable season, and we know Derek Carr didn't play well. He didn't. I'm not making any excuses for Derek Carr. But, Rob G., as a Raider fan, you also know there were like 4 double-digit leads blown this year by the Raiders that if you win those 4 games could have turned the whole season around.
Absolutely.
Am I right? I mean, let's be honest. But Josh McDaniels had a terrible year. And he is one of these coaches who are going to have you as a player, Rob G., conform to what he does, not the other way around. Great coaches take a look at what they have and they say, I'm going to make a system or a situation that's going to be best for the player. I always bring up the Pat Riley thing, Rob G. You know this. He had Showtime in Los Angeles. Roll the balls out and let them go up and down the court, correct?
Yep.
He went to New York as the Knicks coach. They didn't have any of those players, a Magic Johnson, a James Worth. They had none of those guys. They had Patrick Ewing and Charles Oakley and Anthony Mason. What did he do? He changed his coaching style. The Knicks became a rough and tumble type team and made you pay if you went into pain and whatever. Guess what? Riley got him to the finals. It was his best coaching job, Rob G. It was. Because he didn't have the talent they had in L.A., and they got to the NBA Finals, and they lost to Houston. But anyway, I think the Raiders and Josh McDaniels will regret cutting Derek Carr. Now, unless they have a rabbit in their hat, Rob G., I'm giving you a qualifier, because unless they have some deal and Aaron Rodgers or somebody I don't know is falling off a spaceship into Las Vegas as their quarterback, it is so hard to get a Pro Bowl quarterback. Derek Carr was a Pro Bowl quarterback just 2 years ago. You know what else he is? A hell of a recruiter to get Devontae Adams to come to this franchise that hasn't won a championship since the Louisiana Purchase.
I thought it was going to be Moby Dick.
I know, one or the
That's
other.
what I was waiting for.
You were ready for that. I figured I'd throw you a monkey wrench. All right. I can't blame this on him. Come on. This is just an opportunity because of the contract. What is it, like $5 million hurt?
Correct.
They get
Yep.
hurt on the cap? $5 million is nothing. But here's the other thing, Josh McDaniels. It's hard to find a quarterback. Look how many teams, Rob G., is it half the league, would swap out their quarterback tomorrow if they could upgrade. Derek Carr has played for like 9 gazillion coaches and offensive coordinators in his career. There's nothing steady about the Raiders. Zero. Except constantly losing. Sorry about that.
No.
But other than that, Josh McDaniels probably should have lost his job, but they weren't going to do that because they're already paying like 9 other coaches. And they don't want to pay any more former coaches. I mean, there's no way that team should have not made the playoffs given that you added Devontae Adams to it. I just didn't make any sense. But that's what happened. Rob G., the Raiders will regret this because I think Derek Carr still has good football left in him. I think that they're going to have a hard time replacing him unless they know more than me. And if they do, I'll be the first one to say this makes sense. But it's a gamble if you don't have a quarterback. And now you're going to try to replace some Josh McDaniels reject and to think that you're going to do something or win. So I'm out on this decision. They will rue the day that they let Derek Carr and his salary walk out the door in Las Vegas.
I'm partly with you, Rob. And this is what I'll say, the reason why. Unless Aaron Rodgers comes out of his darkness retreat, hallucinating and tripping, whatever it is that he's going to be on for 4 days in that darkness and decides, I'm coming to Vegas, I don't see any scenario where they are in a better position this time next year than what they are right now with Derek Carr, or would have been, a few hours ago.
Especially because Tom Brady was an option because of his relationship with Josh McDaniels. But Tom Brady retired.
Right. And so then the other option would be Jimmy Garoppolo, and he, gets hurt more often than Anthony Davis does, right? And Anthony Davis is called street clothes. So what does that say about Jimmy Garoppolo? But Derek Carr, before this season, by any metric, whether it's passing yards, quarterback rating, QBR, whatever your favorite stat is, was a top 10 quarterback each of the previous 2 seasons. And the one common denominator in each of those situations was that he had consistency with the play calling and the coaching. Because you brought it up earlier. They were cycling through play callers and head coaches like a carousel. Like it was
it was ridiculous.
Every couple years, it was somebody different.
It was like they were dating the Kardashians,
Right, exactly. And for all of his faults, John Gruden is a above average offensive mind. Whatever he said about the emails and all that stuff, that's a different conversation. As terms of just calling football games and designing an offense, he's pretty good. And when Derek Carr was in that system for longer than a season and a half, he was fantastic. He was a top 10 NFL quarterback. Obviously, he gets the axe because of those emails. Josh McDaniels comes in, and you brought it up, Rob. Josh McDaniels might be a good offensive mind. We don't know that for sure. The jury's still out because outside of New England, where they were, playing fast and loose with the rules, we don't know exactly how successful he's been with Denver and Vegas. Jury would say that he was actually pretty bad in both of those situations. But what Josh McDaniels was doing, and for whatever reason people don't want to bring this up, is he was telling Derek Carr, and one of the things that Derek Carr does better than a lot of quarterbacks is his pre-snap adjustments, his audibles, his checking certain plays. Josh McDaniels told him after week 2, I do not want you calling audibles at the line of scrimmage.
Now, that makes no sense, Rob G. If you see something in the defense, shouldn't you audible?
Exactly.
I mean, that's just basic football. I'm not a football coach. But if I see somebody's not playing or out of position or whatever, and I can abuse that or utilize that in our benefit, wouldn't I do it?
Exactly. What it says to me, and I've said before, is Josh McDaniels doesn't just want to win. He wants to win his way. There's a reason why outside of Devontae Adams and Max Crosby, who are all pro level players, well, they're going to be great no matter where you put them. Like, that's how good they are.
Right.
Everybody except for Josh Jacobs took a step back this season. Hunter Renfrow took a step back. Darren Waller took a step back. Chandler Jones took a step back. Derek Carr took a step back. It didn't matter because Josh McDaniels was the common denominator. There was something that was lacking for him as a coach in his leadership abilities, his abilities to galvanize the locker room. And because of that, because he and the general manager came in as a package deal,
right,
it was going to come down to, do we dump Josh McDaniels after one season or do we get out of the quarterback?
And the contract was friendly enough.
And the contract allowed them to move on from Derek Carr. So like I said, unless you have Aaron Rodgers in your back pocket and you know something the rest of America doesn't know, there is no situation where they're going to be better next year than they were this past year.
I'm with you. I just don't see it, Rob G. I think that they swung and missed here, and they took the easy way out. Blame the quarterback despite you blowing 4 games this year. You should have 3 of the games they had 17-point leads. If I'm right, 3 of them.
You're right.
And they lost all those games, and it just was crushing. It wasn't like they were getting shut out or they couldn't score or anything. They were scoring. It was like they couldn't hold on to scores. That was the problem.